Hey, what's up, guys? It's Joshua. And today we're going to go over a new library that just came out about a week and a half ago as of today, and it's called Maleventum Pompeii. It's from the company Silence and Other Sounds from Giuseppe Caiazzo. What I like to do is show you what it sounds like using all the instruments in a demo that I wrote, and we can go over the details afterwards. So here is the track. Let's go ahead and press play. All right, so as you can see, there's a lot of great sounds in this library, stuff that you won't be able to find anywhere else. There are certain libraries that it comes to mind, such as the Medieval series by Eduardo Terralante. That one comes to mind, but as far as getting the details and all these fabulous sounds, just very authentic sounding medieval instruments that specifically comes from Rome and Pompeii in that period is fantastic. And for the price, I would highly recommend getting it if you're wanting to compose something for games in the future, or even like a period piece for film that requires this type of sound and vibe. So let's go ahead and look into what's under the hood for some of these libraries, or I should say these different patches. So the entire library comes in again about 15 patches. You have the horns layer, and the horns layer has snapshots over here, and you can see that there's quite a bit of layers or snapshots that you can choose from that have different sounds. So maybe I'll go ahead and double this track here so that we can hear just different samples of this real quick, and then also relabel that. And while we're here, why don't we just delete that so it doesn't double up on those parts. Okay, so let's look at a few of these sounds real quick. So as you can see, some of these sounds have two different voicings. Okay, while others might not have that. Let's see if there are. Yeah, so this one is an example of one that just has one voicing. And I'm just going to play around with different faders to see if any of these trigger anything. Sorry, I keep playing two notes at once. So that is something that you can probably trigger and assign MIDI CCs to different things. Like I haven't really played around with this, but it looks like you can play around with this layer. Or let's see if that does anything. So you can see how the 1A and B are affecting the sounds on this side. So this is the first. I guess there's 4 layers to choose from, and then they're grouped again into two more, I would say, stems or two different buses as well. So if I can play around with this, then you can see how that can mess with the sounds of these two. And then over here, there's another two. And I could probably mess around, just assign these to different things like that, and hear how that sounds with the swell. Yeah, so there's a lot of cool things you can do here. This probably would work best as a drone type of effect. So yeah, it just sounds wonderful right out of the box. I don't think I added anything here besides maybe some mixing on the EQ. Some of these tracks do have a little bit of some mixing and reverbs added, such as Black Hole here or here. Let me just give you an example of that. That's how it sounds wet with all the effects, and then if I take this off, you can hear how some of these patches and sounds are super dry. Just depends on the way you load these in. So there you go. That is the horns layer. So I'm just going to go briefly through some of these other patches. You have the War Horn Designer. I'll put the volume down just a bit. So what I've noticed right away is that when you release the trigger before these samples are played all the way through, it actually will skip to the end and it will release. Okay, and you can do that with a very musical way of playing this in a sense. I don't think, did I use this at all? I don't think I used any Warhorn designers in this demo here, but I think if I were to spend more time, I can make this demo sound even better with a Warhorn designer such as this. And it sounds very seamless. I think some of these sound better than others in terms of the way they are maybe scripted, or just with where the samples are released. In a sense, it depends on the context of how much you're pressing and holding the sample out as well, and where you release. So those are things you just kind of have to play around with and figure out. So that is the Warhorn Designer, and then let me go ahead and just go to some other patches down here. So we just did the Warhorn Designer 1, and the second one is pretty similar. You can look into the manual to see if there's any more differences between the two. The Aulos solo reed is the melody that I was playing in this demo here. All right, and in the instrument, it speaks really well. It's pretty natural sounding. There's two legatos. You have a slower legato, and that's for probably slower melodies. If the transition probably is slightly longer between notes, and the swift is nice to do when you're doing these little ornaments like this. You got a soft attack, hard attack. Let's see, dynamics are modulated through CC1. You have some pitch swelling that you can adjust, and I'm not sure what the frequency does. Let's see. Maybe the frequency makes the pitch slightly wider when it's oscillating. The amount. Actually, I think the amount is what I was just mentioning before. It's the how wide the pitch oscillates, but the frequency probably also modulates somehow, whether that's like a resonation type of modulation. I'm not too sure, but you can play around with that to some great, nice, realistic effect. You got some combo reverb as well that's already in there out of the box. And then you have its paired Aulos drone reeds, which is the next patch over here, number 5. And this one works really well if you pair it together by just holding this note. I'm going to actually solo this real quick so you can hear. And then what we'll do is we'll add the solo instrument melody. Right? So that sounds great, and you can do a lot with just those two instruments even. Let's look at the next one here. This is the Lituus ritual horn, and this instrument probably was sampled with their limited range that the instrument naturally can produce, and then it was probably scripted in a certain way so that they can make that into a chromatic instrument. And it sounds wonderful. I mean, you probably don't want to do like classical stuff, but more just more simple, like fourths, fifths is usually where this horn would sound probably the most natural. But you do have these options if you're changing keys or doing different compositions in different keys. I've noticed here there are different key switches and embellishments you can choose from, which is nice. So here, I'll put the volume up a little bit. I think SDR is probably the normal melodic sustain. You also have these releases here, so you can have a short release. Let's play the Ornament 1 release. It's a little bit, it's quite long when you release. This one is a bit more natural feeling when I let go. Anyways, those are really nice ways to add some like a more mid-tone sound. Maybe you can use 2 or 3 of these to produce like a chord brass pad type of feel. There's also legato bending. There's all sorts of great things about this one. I actually wanted to talk about this part, this constant dynamic swell up, swell down. So what that means is if I pick one of these other ones, naturally it'll swell more up. It starts quieter, but it sounds more natural. So if you want something just holds out and sustains, you probably want something like that. This is the opposite, the swell down. So it starts really hard and it has a nice hard attack, and then it swells down. And then this one's the constant. Kind of best of both worlds. And then that way with constant you could probably just control it in the faders. Just more massaging with the MIDI to get that going. Then our next step here is the ritual horn solo. Actually, we did that. It's number 7, the Roman tuba solo. The Roman tuba solo is also probably a limited brass medieval instrument that was tweaked and scripted in a way that you have all these notes that you can choose from. It sounds great, by the way. The way I use this one was actually in 2 ways. One was a more low droney way. Okay. And that's the whistle down there. It's still soloed somehow. And then let's look at this part. Yeah, so this one's more of a short version. So I actually had to separate these out because this one had a really slow attack. So I actually moved this offset MIDI to 100, negative 150 milliseconds, and it sounds pretty good. I'll play that for you again. Yeah, so that's the sound that we're going for on that. Tuba, Roman tuba's solo instrument is great to just use as a kind of a bass line that accompanies your Aulos in a nice way. Let's look at the next patches real quick. The next patches in line are the SFX Sound Effects War Horns. Forgive me, I'm only playing just a little bit of sample, but you can see how great they sound right out of the box. Just so many different ways to use this. You can do it as a kind of a stinger, something to end with, just a nice transitional element. It's a great tool that you can use. Let's go to the next part, the cornu phrases. The cornu phrases is let's see, I didn't include this in the demo, but cornus is probably the closest thing to a trumpet or horn, French horn. And that's just a nice addition to this entire library. Let's look at the next one, the flute phrases. It's nice. All right. All of these phrases, patches, all of these here are just nice ways to get inspired. They're also just great to use as a certain layer that just enriches the vibe that you're going for. Um, and there's so many variety of sounds and ranges. So you got the cornu, the flute, the aulos is probably more mid tone. Whistle is very high pitched. I think I played that earlier, but I'll play it again. Okay, and there's many other phrases that go along with that. Here's the syrinx. Syrinx, I believe, is more like a pan flute back in the Roman days. Sounds great. Okay, and the last section of these instruments are after the syrinx is going to be 14 and 15, the percussion. First one are the loop, and then the second one are the one shots. So let's just hear this in context. I'll go ahead and press play and solo all these one shots here, or excuse me, the percussion loops. Okay. And now let's go over here. Okay, great. And all if you were to look at it, all of these instruments have the same configuration. You have the red being the tympana, the orange being the crotala, and all the yellow here as a sistrum. And you can adjust the volumes and the mic positions or the mic volumes as well, looks like. So this is a fun little library. Once you put everything together with the one shots, here's the one shots by itself. Let's put the loops in. Okay, and then here the in context with everything else. So that's it, guys. That is the Maleventum Pompeii in a nutshell. I hope you guys enjoy. If you guys are looking into getting this library, go ahead and check out their website. I believe it's still on sale, and get it before that sale is no longer. So, my name is Joshua Sohn, and thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe to watch more videos like this in the future. Thanks.